I did a long video, and I kind of, I know I contradict myself in some of my videos. I start off with one thought, and then because I'm constantly working on forgiving and what does that look like, because nobody really guides you. It's weird, like you could go to church all your life, and when you really think about it, it's like, you know, there's a message. And if you go to enough churches, eventually it all kind of starts sounding the same. Different energies and different. I kind of felt like the Pastor Danny, that was at Pembroke Church in Florida. Even though some of the message, I'm like, okay, here we go. The Christmas message, the giving tithes message is kind of all the same. Make you feel guilty into giving. Um, that I don't mind, because if you're getting something from a church, you should want to give and not think about, it's not your business where that money goes to. Yes, you do your part. And I'm not here for that. I'm just here, you know, sometimes off and on, like somebody in my family would reiterate, just, you know, oh, what if something happened to this or that person? You'll feel bad, you'll feel guilty. The thing about me, I don't know about anybody else, that's why I said forgiveness is not the same. It doesn't look the same for you and me. But I really, like, the past, you know, maybe 10 years, I've been really fixated on how God went into a so-called temple and tore it up. He was angry. They were doing stuff in the temple that they shouldn't have been doing. And the wrath of God kind of took over in him. And if we are to believe that the Bible is real, a lot of what Jesus did, he would cut people off if they weren't right with God, if they didn't want to receive the forgiveness, and if they didn't want to, you know, all that. He was okay with walking away from God. I mean, walking away from people. And in order to do his mission, he had to leave his mom and dad's house. And I wasn't there. The Bible puts it like he just cold stone was like, peace out, Mom. It's time for me to do my mission, what I came to earth to do. I'm sure there was more to it than that. But it's weird how pressure, no matter what the person did to you, how pressure society is to say to the victim or to the person that was hurt in whatever situation, it's like, well, you should forgive and forget. And the other person could be doing the same thing they did to you to others, and you can sense it, you can feel it. At least I can. I cut out, my situations are weird and different. So you guys, if you've been here since the beginning, you know I had a whole situation a few times with my foster family that brought me to Seattle, the last foster family. And I'm in a predicament that it's tough because I don't really want to deal with them. I don't want to need them. I don't want to still claim them as family because we haven't been family in over 10 years. But my kids are involved. They go there for the holidays. I basically remove myself so the kids can have a clean relationship with everybody without it being like, well, if we invite the kids, then we have to. That's what it started to feel like the last few times I went over for holidays. It felt like, you know, and I definitely knew that that was the case when my kids or I weren't invited to a couple of things. I saw it online and it hurt. But if the people that say forgive and forget, and what if something happens to them, I'm gonna feel guilty about not seeing them, not da da da. It's like, well, why isn't it reversed also? Like, why aren't they repenting? Why? And it's not just about my foster family. Like I said, I let it go. I'm okay with, um, don't get me wrong, there's holidays that I do cry about it, that I feel like I wish I was accepted more. And maybe if I was so different, I don't know. I know people love to say, I'm different, but like I felt like that even in my own blood family. Um, I just didn't think that the same things were funny or, right, or so I don't know. I always felt awkward, and I remember seeing pictures of me young, and even as a baby, I used to kind of side eye people and be very serious, and I don't know. I was just born that way. Um, but I got the question like, did you call your father for Father's Day? And I was like, no. Why would I? I haven't talked to him in, I don't know, 2 years, a year. It's definitely been more than a year, maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't know. Um, he's very self-righteous. So, and if you were here from the beginning, you know that he sexually molested me. I spoke out and I became the bad guy. I was called all type of names. I was kind of kicked out of the family for a while. I pulled up my big girl panties. I wanted to meet my little sister that I never met, and I definitely wanted to see the sister that I fed all summer, one summer before I went into foster care. We were so close. So I don't know, I had this fantasy that she would remember me, she would remember our connection, and like, oh, um, and I was scared. It was 4 years from the time that I moved out of New York. I didn't have any communication, you know, um, but due to 9/11, my mom ended up finding me. Um, And that started up communication again. Because when I was 18, I kind of blew up on my stepmom and my dad. My stepmom did every other abuse. Um, she was very verbally abusive. Um, but you know what gave me peace? Because I always wonder, do I really know how to forgive? I was worried that so every time I tried to talk with him, I actually lived with him when I moved to Florida. I had no choice. I was supposed to live with my uncle until I found a place or something with both of my kids, but in the first week was fine. Then I started having flashbacks. And then I was worried for my kids, even though they're boys. You know, I've done enough counseling and enough research to know that when you have that type of sickness, it might just be that you enjoy the power that you have over your victims. Um, so it might not even be about, oh, I only do that to girls, little girls. I only do that to women. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what my dad deal is. If it's a power thing or if it's a female little girl thing. Seems to be a little girl thing, but he could be a little people thing. So then I went into overprotective mode. If my kids had to go to the bathroom, we had the room and the room had a lock. And so I would ask him, if I don't wake up, wake me up. And I would stand by the door because he was on the pull-out couch in the living room. And that's when I was questioning because I thought, dang, I did so much work, so much therapy, so many years. By this time, it's 20, 25 years since I took him to court. And, um, you know, I was nervous at first that I'm like, what if he's trying to set me up for revenge? And I was like, I don't think he would do that with the kids being around. And maybe he had the same thought because I noticed he did start feeling nervous towards the second, third week. The same with me. Thank God that after the fourth week, we found a place and I moved in like within a few days after signing the paper, had the key, boom. And that was easier. But then he did a weird thing with my oldest, and I was just like, he could go both ways. You know? Like, he just does certain things with little kids, and I'm like, I'm watching him, and I see that little glim, like that evil glare in his eyes. But I kept watching, and I kept hoping, and I kept thinking, well, if I truly forgive him, then I have to give it to God, and God will handle it. Then I proposed something to him. I said, you know, this church people really are really loving. Pembroke Baptist Church, we lived right by it when I was living with him. And I said, you know, how about we go together? We don't say what the situation is or what it was. We just both ask for forgiveness. I thought to myself, if he's brave enough to walk into a church, talk to a pastor, maybe that would help me knowing that he really is sorry. That he, and like I said, I kept telling them, we don't have to tell them our situation. We can just walk in there and pray and kneel down, and we just both ask for forgiveness. We can just say that re, we're rebuilding our relationship. We don't have to, I was willing to do that just to see if that would help with me not having flashbacks, me knowing that he really is sorry, that he's not doing it again, that he won't do it again. And he wouldn't go. The whole time I was at his house, I went to the church like 4 or 5 times a week. They had a women's workout thing on Tuesdays, I think, Wednesday Bible study, before church Bible study, or get together prayer with the pastor. And then after church it was Bible study. Like, we were there a lot. I was like, you have a lot of opportunities to go with me to any of this stuff. And then, we can set up an appointment with the pastor. The doors, the thing that I loved about Pembroke was that the doors were always open, at least when I went by. When I was scared and I was having all these flashbacks and thoughts, I would walk right over with my kids, and you know, I could go to one of the rooms, I could talk to the office people. There was always, most of the time, there was something going on. And I never felt that before. Like, all the churches have church. Of course, the church obviously closed. There was office hours, but I don't know. They just had an open, inviting vibe, and I feel like that's what church should be. I know you can always walk into a Catholic church and kneel down, but the priest always feels like they just they just feel like they think they're better than the commoners, the common people. So it never feels comfortable. And then to go confess and all that behind the wall, I don't know. So I wish that there was more churches that would do different activities, because that was the only space that I felt safe when I was in fear or in those moments of those thoughts. It was so nice to go into a safe space that I knew people were godly. I knew my kids could play around in the courtyard. Eventually, I did tell some of the people in the church, because I felt like they were becoming my family. But I've been looking at what is forgiveness. How does it look like? How do I get to the point that I'm supposed to be at peace? That I could be around this person and not feel anything negative. And what I'm learning is that's not it. At least for me. It could be different for you, and that's okay. Forgiveness is not the same for everybody. There is no, this is the way you do it. These are the steps. I've been working on this for 30 years, really, really trying to look at how God was moving, or Jesus was moving the last 10 years or so. But the last 5 years, I've been more determined, like, not to feel bad about whatever I feel like I have to do to have peace of mind and to move on from the hurt that my dad caused, that my foster family caused, and even their church. Like I said in my last video, I felt really like a hypocrite because the person that I thought had most negative things to say about people, and I just felt like maybe they didn't like me. She gave me the biggest hug, and she was like truly, and I felt it was genuine, you know. She really like embraced me, and I almost wanted to pinch myself or slap myself for thinking so negative about her. And I am gonna um, leave her a Facebook message and apologize. And I know she won't know what I'm talking about. She'll be, what? But I feel like, in order to not feel fake or not feel like I'm in the wrong, I know there's things and people that I need to apologize to for doing them wrong or thinking the wrong thing and acting out of anger. But I've tried a lot of times to have a relationship with anybody that hurt me because I thought that that's what it meant to forgive, is to be able to turn the other cheek, like respect your elders and all these things that we're programmed as little kids to think and do without you being able to express yourself and express your hurt. You just gotta keep taking it. And that's not true. And I'm not, just because I forgave my dad, I forgave my foster family, doesn't mean that I'm intentionally gonna be around them. If I could avoid them, I will. There's times that I can't avoid them, at least my foster family. But I know now I can be around them and not feel hate, not feel that other feeling I don't know how to describe. But it was strong and negative. And like what I've learned is all those negative feelings affect you more than them. They go on to live their lives and smile and laugh like nothing. And you're sitting with all these negative feelings and hurt and mad, and it chips at you. It chips at your health. It affects you negatively. So since I've decided that forgiveness is different for everybody, well, that's what it looks like. I'm forgiving my dad by not communicating with him at all. And sometimes I notice the feeling peaks if I see somebody posting him and he's left, you know. But I'm not gonna block everybody. I blocked one of my cousins. Um, he posted him on Father's Day, and I'm like, he's not even your uncle. Like, I don't know. So it just kind of like, oh, poked at me a little bit. But I know he didn't do it to like throw it in my face or whatever. Um, so it's like I said, forgiveness and your trauma, and you deal with it day by day, sometimes minute by minute. I'm to the point that I feel like I'm dealing with it week by week. So I'm getting better. And that's what's important. Give yourself credit for what it is and not for what it's not. You know, of course, you know, this is gonna sound weird as heck, but because I was daddy's little girl before that happened, um, I miss him. Sometimes there's times that I wish I could call because I know he would make me laugh, and but I know that it would only bring up deeper hurt feelings to the surface again. So it's best that I don't. I resist and listen to music or watch a show that'll distract me when I have those moments. So, yeah. And, I had to apologize to my ex the other day because, yeah, it didn't work out or whatever, but he was a very positive influence and positive person in my life for the time that he was in my life. And I did a video saying how, he was attached to his mom through the umbilical cord and his dad. And at the same time, his mom was going through something, was hospitalized. And I didn't know because we weren't talking. We're not talking now, but I just sent him a message apologizing for things that I did and pain that I might have caused him. He apologized back, and then I did say something about his mom because I felt like she accepted me and embraced me with open arms. And of course, I love getting that since I don't have a mom. So any mom that I can feel that from, my heart just soaks it up. So she was on my mind, so I'm like, I'll tell your mom hi for me. And he's like, yeah, she ended up in the hospital for a month or whatever. And I was just like, oh my God. Right away, I thought about the videos that I did on him. And I was basically upset because he like sent me a picture on my oldest son's birthday, which is St. Patrick's Day. And then when I logged into, my cat has an Instagram, and I forgot that he was still on there. I saw his little bubble pop up in the story thing on Instagram. And I was like, oh, let me see what he's doing. What he always posts his business. And then I seen that he was on a date. I saw the picture that he sent me and the boys saying Happy St. Patrick's Day, cheers. He had his, green shirt or whatever. Then I see the chick, and don't get me wrong, I let him go, so it shouldn't have hurt me, but for some reason it did because it felt like he t- had her take a picture of him and sent it to us. And I was like, why even send us the picture when you're on a date? And yeah, of course, he didn't send the one with the chick, but I was just like, what? Like, okay, maybe he's hurt. He's mad about the videos I made about him. And he's lashing out. He's like, huh? I could get another one in a minute. Okay. I'm not on that anymore. I used to, you know, 2 or 3 days after we broke up, I would have had another one. But I'm too focused on my kids and building myself up to just hop from one man to another. But I definitely understand. It took me like by surprise that he already had another chick. Like, but I was breaking up with him for like 2 years, off and on, off and on, off and on. So I'm like, well, what do I expect? After I got over the pain that it caused for a few days, I was like, well, what do I expect? He was what I thought was a good guy. I don't know anymore. But I did feel like I did hurt him. I did stuff that I shouldn't have done to him. I shouldn't have kept the relationship going for so long. I kind of wish that we would have stayed friends because I do miss laughing with him and the friendship. I do miss the positivity that he generates. Even when he's hurting, he'll post motivational things. And sometimes they got on my nerves, I gotta be honest. But the point being is, I did ask for forgiveness. And that's it. I'll let it go. And every time, even if the other person doesn't know what you did to them, I I'm starting to feel like if I just take the step and not be the bigger person, because that saying is wrong. If you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing to heal you. You're not being the bigger person, because sometimes people don't know how you hurt them or how you felt about them, if it was negative or so. But every time that I have apologized, you do get a little bit of a sense of relief. Like when the biggest relief was me and my stepmom. You know, I always talked to her off and on, even if she did me wrong or whatever, because I wanted to keep a relationship with my sisters and my brothers. Now, when my sisters and brothers were all older, they had phones. I was like, okay, now I don't have to deal with her every time to get to them or to talk to them. Um, but when I was doing my story, I, I told this, I started the stories with how she was the one that saved me. She was the one that rescued me. And I heard this from my my birth mom's side of the people and other people. So it's not like my stepmom just made it up. She was the one that saved my life. So thinking about that, I was like, just based on that alone, she had love for me back then. She could be angry and frustrated with my dad, so that's why she took it out on me. So just trying to understand her thinking and her logic started bringing me peace. And one day she called me. We talked for a long while. She told me different things that she went through while I was in foster care and the position that I put her in was a very difficult thing, and she was angry, and I understand. But at the time, I felt like I had to do what I had to do for me, and it might be selfish, you know, but I felt like I had no other option. And we cried. I think we even prayed together. Maybe we just say amen. I don't know. But she asked for forgiveness. And we talked about forgiveness a lot, off and on through the 20, 30 years. But this time, I could tell it was real. I could tell it was from the heart, and she was really, really asking. And I did the same. I asked her to forgive me for the pain that I caused her when I was just when I was trying to take care of myself, and I was thrown in a situation. We all didn't know what to do, what was the best thing to do. We all of two both of us didn't know what the best is. It was like there was no guidance, there was no counselor, there was no talk. The caseworkers just do their job and go home. But there was pain on both sides that we never dealt with. And once we spoke them, we confronted them, we talked about it, we cried about it, we prayed about it. Now we're able to communicate, and I don't have any of those negative feelings. I don't think she does either. I think she's just, you know, trying to still understand, like, what's what. And that's okay. Like, we don't have to completely understand the other person action or reactions to still every day choose to forgiveness. With her, I don't feel like I have to do it every day. Like, I don't feel like, oh, she triggered me. She did it. Um, and maybe it's because we don't live in the same state and I don't see everything she does or says. But whatever it is, I feel completely healed from that situation. My stepmom and me are good. So once I saw that happening, that's when I knew I could cut my dad off. I could be around, maybe. I didn't know how that was going to feel being around my foster family. Um, at least the people that brought me here. I don't know about, like, of course I miss my grandpa Aaron. I haven't seen him in like 10 years, 8 years, I don't, a long time. and he's past 90, so it was hard to see him struggle with his jokes. He was always very funny, sarcastic in a good way. There's people that are sarcastic that is like, oh, but he was funny. He was really funny, and it's hard to see somebody get older, and it's scary, but it was so good to see him and hug him. And some of the other people that I haven't seen from the church, um, it was good. It was a good feeling. And I didn't leave there like, oh my God. Right before I walked in the door, I had really bad anxiety, like, oh God. But after the anxiety left, I sat down. We all were talking, and it was okay. So I'm like, okay, well, now I know that, you know, for my little one's graduation, that I can be around them, be cordial, and I don't have to feel all those negative thoughts and all those negative feelings. I can be peaceful around them, and that's okay. I'm working on the forgiveness every day and not to think about the things that they didn't do and try to look at the things that they are doing. They are helping my boys. They do care about my boys. So I have to think about it like that. Like I have to be okay with not being a part of something that I thought I was going to be a part of for the rest of my life. And that's okay. I am okay with making the sacrifice to give up that so my boys can have it and not feel alone. And so that's where I'm at with it. Under an hour, yay! Anyways, guys, well, like, share, comment if you um, share if you like. Um, I'll say this real quick. I'm facing some decisions and I'm having a hard time knowing what the best thing to do is. Mm. So just pray for God to guide me to make the right decisions as far as doctors and clinics. And I was thinking about switching, but I'm looking at all the places I could go to, and no matter where I go to, it's gonna be far from here. And there's gonna be stuff that I don't like about it. And there's gonna be doctors pushing the stuff on you. And so I don't know. I would feel stupid if I made a big fuss about leaving and then it's like I'm staying just because I don't want to deal with something new and again anxiety about it. And so just pray for guidance, guys. I'm kind of stuck not knowing what to do. But anyways, hope that everybody's having a um, good week, good day. It's kind of sunny here today, so I'm definitely gonna walk my little cat. Colabula is doing great. We found out she had asthma, so we're trying to get that under control, figure out the right medication for her. And, it's a struggle because the vet bills are very high, and I'm not getting help with her food or litter anymore, so That kind of threw me off for a few months, and I'm still trying to recover from not getting that help, but it's okay. I'm the type of person that makes a way out of no way, and I'm a fighter. And as much as sometimes, to tell you the truth, I want to give up, I know I won't, because my kids need me, my cat need me. So that's that, folks. Have a blessed day. Bye. Like, like, like.